All right, it is about 2 p.m. Eastern time. I believe it's 2 p.m. Eastern time from my man Cale right here as well. Cale, thanks for coming on to the show,
Yep.
bro.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
Dude, I'm excited for you to be here. So, just let me tell you how I found you real quick.
Yeah.
I ran into Alex Hormozi's and Leila's content earlier this year because we do Grant Cardone, Cardone University with our sales
hmm
team. And I saw
Yep.
where they did a video talking about where they talked to Grant. That's kind of how I found them, right? And then I
Yeah.
realized that I had seen the gym launch ads a long time ago because I'm big into fitness and Instagram and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So I've seen it. I just didn't put two and two together. And then I
Yeah.
was like, but obviously getting a hold of them right now is going to be a little bit of an issue because they're blowing up and stuff, doing the social media, they're doing the circuit right now.
Oh yeah.
I was like, where's the behind the scenes, right? Like, where are the top performers? Who are the people that are making it work, making it tick? And found you on LinkedIn, figured a way to reach out, figured I'd just shoot it out there. And we actually connected on Twitter out of all places.
Yeah.
So, hey, man, thank you so much for coming on here and talking to me.
Dude, absolutely. I really appreciate it. I'm honored. I'm humbled. I work behind the scenes a lot, even though I'm trying to put out more content, but most of the stuff I do is behind the scenes. So I appreciate the time to come on.
Well, hey, let's let the audience know a little bit about you. And
Mhm.
I've listened to a few interviews, but kind of just tell me your story before
Yeah.
leading up to gym launch.
Cool. Awesome. So I'll start real quick as just where I'm at now, and then I'll go backwards. So currently I'm the CEO of Gym Launch and Prestige Labs. Gym Launch is a consulting company for gyms. We essentially give them a white labeled franchise education piece where we coach them and we give them information on how to grow and scale their businesses. The Prestige Labs is our supplement business, and that that whole business is done specifically through the affiliate model. And so we work directly with gym owners and help them be able to sell incredible products, as well as be able to create amazing commissions off of those. So that's where I'm at right now. How I got started, kind of like going back into everything. Growing up, random. I was homeschooled my entire life. Never spent a day in school until I was a freshman in college. I fell in love with baseball at a really young age. At around 8 is when I started playing and immediately fell in love with it. And that was my life from the age of roughly 9 years old until 23. That is all I thought about. That is all I dreamt about. It is I ate, slept, spent my entire time focused on baseball. And through high school, played high school, then played college baseball for 4 years here in St. Augustine, Florida at a small D2 school. Had a small, short, brief cup of coffee in the Phillies organization and got to play a little bit there. I got to see the side of the business side of professional baseball and got to spend some time with incredible human beings on that piece. And then as soon as I got out, I was obviously infatuated with fitness growing up. I was the smallest kid on every team I ever played on. I was a kid that always had to work harder than everybody else just to be able to be at an average, even mediocre level. So that was something that I always had to do. And so I was always fascinated by improving my performance on the field inside the gym, right? How can I get bigger, faster, stronger to improve that? So that led into a desire and a passion to become a trainer and to open my own gym. So I was a minority partner in a facility in Tampa after I got done. And then after that, ended up actually starting another facility here in St. Augustine back in 2015 is when we started it. Grew it kind of a little bit, but it basically came to a standstill. Ended up joining Gym Launch in 2017 as a client. Grew and scaled our facility in 8 months from like 33 members to over 250. My wife and I were able to kind of move ourselves out of the gym. We had built a team, built everything we needed. I joined the Gym Launch staff as just a salesperson on the ground floor in 2018, and then kind of worked my way across different areas and departments within the business. Went from sales guy to sales manager to coaching manager to GM, and then now the CEO. So kind of was able to hit all facets of that business.
So you started as a client to Gym Launch.
Yeah.
So what drew you to Gym Launch that made you want to join up with them?
My gym was failing. So like I was 8 weeks from shutting my doors. I had no money. I had no idea. I didn't know what I didn't know. Right. Like most gym owners, I prided myself on the fact that I thought my community was fantastic. I thought my offer was unique. I thought that, no one ever left my gym, even though I only had 33 clients. And even though I'd sign up 2 people, 3 people a month, I somehow stayed in the same spot, which means people automatically are leaving. And I did all of the things that pretty much every gym owner that I've talked to before joining Gym Launch, I thought the same thoughts. I did the same things. I've been down that road multiple different times. And finally, I got tired of failing, and I simply just wanted to start changing more lives. And I knew that the gym for me was not the end all be all. At that point, I actually joined Gym Launch so that I could grow it, scale it, and sell it. I actually wanted to get out of the gym and do what I do now, which is working on the B2B side in any capacity. It didn't even matter if it was Gym Launch or not. I just fell in love with Gym Launch. I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with, obviously, Alex and Leila, what they were doing, what they were building. And I just wanted to be a part of that. So for me, it was, I wanted to build a place and that would be valuable enough that someone would want to buy it. And that I knew that the only way to do that was to build the systems, processes in place, and to actually grow it and scale it.
Yeah, speak to that a little bit on the aspect of working with Alex and Leila and why you wanted to work with them. And I guess maybe I've heard you talk in the past about skill stacking. Is that part of this game?
Yeah, 100%. So being a business owner, right? I got in, I didn't know what I didn't know. And then getting into it, and you start being around other business owners who are growing and scaling so fast, and you realize, wow, I am missing a ton of skills, right? I prided myself on being good at, let's say, one aspect of owning a gym, which would be programming, which happens to be the least valuable skill set you can have as a gym owner, right? And I was like, no, I'm a great programmer. Okay. I'm a great coach. Okay. But like, I have no ability I don't have the skill set to go out and get leads. I don't have the skill set to be able to get them to show up. I don't have the skill set required to close them consistently. I don't have the skill set to even retain or fulfill at scale at what I'm doing, to build process up, to hire, to fire, right? To be a good leader. I didn't have any of those skill sets. And Gym Launch taught me that, but I realized that there's always new levels to the game. And ultimately, I wanted to be able to impact more people than just the 250, 300 people, 400 people in my community through my gym. And I wanted to reach more. And I knew that ultimately the best way to do that was to work with individuals who not only had been there, but also knew how to coach and lead other people on how to stack skills, how to acquire those skill sets, and how to then take those and actually flash them and showcase them in the real world to help more people. And that's what Alex and Leila have done, right? Watching what they did from a client side made me want to work with them even more, because ultimately they were just leading us through the path of how to grow and scale a business, all while teaching us within the gym. But it was the same stuff they were doing, just at a bigger scale within Gym Launch.
Sure. So tell me a little bit, like, what were they doing that was so good? Like, and how did you get the opportunity to work with them, going from a client to, I guess, an employee at the time?
Yeah. So the reason why they were so good at scaling, there's lots of different reasons, right? The thing that I would nail it down to is one of our core tenets, which is speed is king. And so they were so fast at being able to take an idea and put it into action, right? So one of the definitions of power, right? The ability to have like influence and power is to be able to take an idea and turn it into reality. The faster you can do that, the more power you actually have. And they elicited a ton of power because they were able to take ideas and put them into action very, very quickly. And they were so successful because they also used data, and we still do today, so much data to back up all of the things that we do in Gym Launch, right? And Prestige Labs. And so that's one of the reasons why. There's multiple reasons, but that's one of the main reasons why they did that. But how I got hooked up with them is, as a client, I think I was like the 17th person to sign up for Gym Launch in 2017. And then I think I was like number, 10 or 11 or something to sign up for the next level, which is Gym Legacy at the time. And I was in the community. I went to the very first mastermind for Legacy, got to meet Alex and Leila. I was in there. And I remember there was a job posting. They were hiring for a sales guy. I think it was like March or April of 2018. And I literally Facebook messaged Alex, and I was like, hey, just send me the deck that you guys use to sell, because I'll just do it for free. I was like, I had another job at the time. And even though I still own the gym, I had another job, all this stuff. And I was like, I'll just do it for free. I was like, you don't have to pay me. I love it that much. And he's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, if you're serious, you need to do this full time. And I was like, okay. And we went back and forth. And I was like, it really came down to, what's the opportunity here? Is it something that I can quit my job? And it was. And I think I started, 2 weeks later. So,
wow. So what did that look like? What were you doing? Just straight B2B selling? Or are you selling clients to come in? What were you doing at that point?
Yeah. So I was doing ascension sales or upsells. So I was taking our clients that were in Gym Launch, and then I was selling them into Legacy. At the time, it was a 3-year agreement worth roughly about a contract value about $124,000. So that was my first dip into B2B sales.
Gotcha. So you're heavy commission based, I'm assuming, in that, or
Straight commission. It was all commission, man. No, I went from a base salary with commission at where I was to just commission. That was it. And I just remember going into it. It's funny. I was talking to my wife, Maggie, who's the VP of operations for Gym Launch and Prestige Labs. I was talking to her about it, and I was like, man, like looking back, it made sense in my head. I was like, this is going to work. But now looking back, I'm like, that's kind of a big risk because I had two kids at the time. And like, this is a leap of faith to go from having that base salary to just straight commission. And ended up obviously working out really, really well.
So Leila mentioned Maggie in the comments. You just mentioned Maggie, but I didn't. Maggie's your wife?
Yeah. Cool.
So you got Alex and Leila who work together as a team, and then you and Maggie work together as a team, and she's the VP of Gym Launch and Prestige Labs as well?
Yeah, she's the VP of Ops. She makes it all run. So she takes any ideas that I have or the team has, and then she makes sure that they actually run really, really well.
So you guys kind of operate in the same way where you're the visionary, you're the forward thinker, you're the idea guy, and she's over here cracking the whip, making things that it happens, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's one piece of this I would say is, and it's hard for me to say that we would be like Alex and Leila because Alex is he's in another realm, right? So like, for me, I would never say that I'm a visionary. I would say that we're surrounded by an amazing team, right? And we're able to bounce ideas. And I still have access to Alex to ask questions and go off of that. So it's really hard. I can't compare myself or even allow anyone to compare myself to Alex because he's just in a different world on his ability to take ideas and think through problems and create simple solutions to them. But yes, we work kind of in tandem, the husband-wife combo, just like Alex and Leila did.
That's awesome. How's that dynamic work? A lot of people, I would say, maybe can't make that work. What does it take for a couple to be able to work together and do it well? Like, what's the skill set they're needed? What type of personality traits?
Man, I don't know if there's any specific personality traits. This is this stuff I love talking about because this is not normal, I would say, in the business world. People talk about communication as the key, right, to a successful relationship, but it has to be really, really clear. So Maggie and I, we both work from home. We're in the same house. We have two kids, both of them under the age of 8. And we both work at a fairly high level within these businesses. And everything comes down to being on the same page on pretty much everything. If we don't agree, we don't move forward with anything. So we have to be on the same page. We over communicate on pretty much everything. And what I mean by that is we're crystal clear on exactly what we need from each other and what the business needs from each other. And if at any point we're not, we will literally push everything on our calendars aside to get on the same page. And so when we prioritize things in our life, we prioritize our marriage first and our relationship, and then everything else after. And so we make sure we're good. So we do things like, it's simple stuff like mandatory date nights. Like we do a date night every week. It's non-negotiable. Like we always go on a date night, no matter what. We always spend time every Monday morning. Like, even though we talk about business and life all the time, every Monday morning before we meet with the team, we have an hour blocked aside to make sure we show up the right way for our teams and that we're both on the same page moving forward. Little things like that, making sure our calendars are in sync and just working well across the board.
No, that's really cool. And you mentioned that you work remotely from home and you have two little tornadoes running around that are under 8. So I can only imagine how that's going when they're not at school. Now, are you homeschooling them since you were homeschooled, or so they're off to school, they're doing their thing?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine homeschool. my mom was a saint. I could not imagine that, dude. There's no way.
I hear you, man. Yeah. So now the remote work. Talk to me a little bit about that. In our industry, which is supply chain, logistics, 3PL, freight brokering, right? They're starting to go to it in some aspects. If you're like a freight agent, or if you're pretty much sales and on a commissions, and you can work from home. But in our game, a lot of people like people in the office. They like that boiler room mentality, team, that energy, that environment. So a lot of young people, so it's that college type frat house environment in a lot of the bigger industries. What do you think about remote work since 2020? And do you think it's beneficial, or do you think it's better to be in the office around your team?
I think it depends on the business, obviously. But for us, it's what we started with. Gym Launch and Prestige Labs has always been remote. And the thing I believe has made me a major lover of remote work is the fact that we can get more done in a day than most places get done in a week. And the reason why is there are no distractions. So when you have a team of high performers and they're able to not have the distractions of people coming by their office or coming by their cubicle or someone talking, and then you have an open room and just the small distractions, you're able to get a lot of focused work done, which pushes the business forward. And so you can get a lot of things done very quickly and at a really high level. So personally, I love remote work, and my goal would be to never go back to an office. But who knows? Maybe that'll happen someday.
No, I'm starting to kind of join that thought process as well. I think that honestly, if I was at the house and nobody was able to come talk to me, I would get so much more done than me trying to because it's one of those things, and I hate to be this way, and this is live, but who cares? But like, you don't want to be mean to someone when they're coming to talk to you. Like you've got to be personable, especially in this position. You got to be nice and keep the morale up. But it does sometimes takes a lot away from people that are executives or VPs or managers, because people will find a way just to get to you, just to maybe act like they're working by talking to you and asking questions. That becomes the thing, right? I've been that guy in the past. When I was younger, when I was working, I was like, I might not be the best worker here, but man, they love to talk to me. That was my when I was young and dumb.
What's interesting about that too is that the same thing happens though, even with remote work, through things like Slack and immediate communication, right? And so it's still the same problems still come up. It's just, how do we deal with them? How do we attack those? And the solutions are very similar across the board, and setting clear guidelines and expectations for your team. But we can still get really easily distracted, even with obviously working from home. So, and then there's the cons of it, right? It's like when someone I tell my team, I'm like, hey, if I shoot you a Slack and I need you, and you don't answer within 30 seconds, this may sound overboard for people listening to this, but like if I need something from the team, I Slack them, I don't get a response. My first step is to go to their calendar, and I look on their calendar, and they're in a meeting, totally cool. I'm not expecting anything till they're done, till their calendar is clear. But if there's nothing on that calendar space, right now, I'm thinking, well, what are you doing? Are you doing laundry? Are you watching Netflix? Are you like outside, like doing something different? Are you running errands? Your mind starts to go to that. And I know that can be a negative place, and you always expect the best out of all of your employees, but like, there's also that piece of it too. And that's the nice part about having an office, is you can see everyone. So I understand why a lot of people still like to have that office feel.
No, I also think that to push back on the office, just to mess what we do. But I mean, people can hide behind computer screens, right? You can be playing, hey, I'm working all day long. It means some people, like, there's TikToks and Instagram things going around where people are just clicking the screen, there's apps now that move your mouse around the screen. It's ridiculous.
Crazy. Imagine how much money people would make if they took that innovation and actually turned it into something that was of value.
Dude, the same thing. All these apps and all these websites and programs that keep people from working, all the work that went into that, $1 million ideas. They're probably making millions of dollars just selling that app or whatever it is they do. Just grabbing. But that's cool. So how do you monitor what your people are doing? Is there check-ins, meetings? How's that process work as the CEO of Gym Launch Prestige Labs?
Yeah. So everything comes down to performance, right? And are we moving our initiatives forward? So check-ins and daily huddles, depending on departments and where they're at, are really big. So I'll give you an example on like Mondays. Mondays are always our busiest time. And so we have our team meetings. We have our strategic meetings for the week. We have a lot of stuff. Pretty much this is my day where I've got back-to-back meetings, no time at all today for deep work. That's always the rest of the week. But then our sales team, for example, every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for an hour, they do sales training. So they get together as a team and they do sales training virtually on Zoom. And then they'll do a wrap up at the end of the day. And so the wrap up is a review of the day. It's like, cool, how many calls did you have? How many showed? How many closed? Offers? Give me some back and forth on like, how were they? What's the quality looking like? How are the conversations? Any problems? And that's every day, right? Minus the weekends. And so that's an example of a certain setup from a communication standpoint that we have. And then we obviously have our Slack threads and our channels that we have inside for our teams, and they're communicating consistently across the board. Like our sales team is announcing when they close someone. And we're just using that to make sure that we're always staying on track. But ultimately, everything comes back to performance. If we're not performing and we're not hitting the numbers that we know that we should be, then we do a deeper dive and we ensure that everyone is doing what they need to be doing. So, and then we do like sales team. I use the sales team a lot because I used to manage it, and I'm biased towards sales personally. We record all the calls. So our sales manager goes in, he's listening to all the calls. He's making sure that this is happening, right? So there's checks and balances across the entire thing. And the same thing goes on onboarding and our support team. Like we record all those calls for quality assurance purposes and training purposes. And so our director of client coaching can go in and he listens to the calls that are happening. He reviews them, he QAs them, he provides feedback. They have their check-ins in the mornings. Like it's a constant piece. Our goal is to make it as so that there's always communication and that no one is left wondering what they should be doing.
So it always stems back to the clear communication, no matter how that is, whether it's digitally, verbally, however you need to get to. That's kind of your key to success as a business.
100%. Setting clear expectations and guidelines, and then how to get there. That's the next piece.
Oh, I love that. So let's talk a little bit about the sales aspect of it. You said you're doing some sales training on the Monday mornings. What's that look like? Is that you guys doing the sales training? Is that role playing with the common objections and stuff like that, overcoming? Is that what that is?
Yeah. So Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., our sales team hops in as a group, and they do what we call our world-class sales routine. And it's typically broken up and segmented into different things. But a lot of times it will ebb and flow depending on the needs of the team and individuals. Right now, I believe that we're kind of spending a little bit more time just getting back to the basics and not trying to get cute with sales and just making sure that we're asking the right questions, making sure that we're valuing the prospect's time and not just trying to have a conversation and, build a rapport just to build a rapport's sake. Really just understanding what are the client's needs, what's their pain points, can we actually help them? And if we can help them, make sure that we actually present what we have in the right way. And then obviously always asking for the close and then objection overcomes. Typically what will happen is we'll do about 30 minutes of training. And so it'll go from anything, could be just questions, like asking what are the best questions that we should be asking in discovery. And then they'll do breakout rooms in Zoom where they will go one-on-one and do objection overcomes. And so they'll train objection overcomes for 15 to 20 minutes back and forth, hop back in, check just to make sure everything's good for the day. And then they hop out into their calls.
I love that. So even with us being in an office, I think I like that better in Zoom better because we do role playing and we do stuff like that in the mornings, like I said, with the Cardone University, but it's hard to kind of monitor it. You could record it if you're doing it through Zoom.
Yes.
However, so that's smart.
100%. That's super nice. We do the same thing for our clients too. So for 30 minutes, we do a sales training every day, Monday through Friday for them as well. And we do breakout rooms and they hop in and we call it the boiler room. And we do the exact same thing for our clients.
Wow. Interesting. Huh. So you're providing value to both ends right there. So I guess your clients have to like that as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Huh. Really cool, man. So talk to me a little bit about just your daily schedule. I'm interested. I found Alex and Grant and all these guys through personal development. And I'm all about the guy, your Patrick Bet Davids, your Grants, your to be honest with you, not just because you're with him, whatever, but like Alex right now probably has the best content on the internet.
Easily.
In this space. And whatever space he really wants to go to, he crushes it. So what's your daily routine like?
Yeah. So wake up is at 4. And I'm in the gym by 4:15. So I literally get up, roll out of bed, get my pre-workout. My clothes are already out from the night before. Get dressed, work out. I'm working out by 4:15. I'm back by 5:15, 5:30. And then I spend that time prepping for the day or I'm reading. And so 5:15 to usually the kids wake up around 7. So I get a good, hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes of time to just quiet by myself. Kids wake up and then we take them, my wife and I take them to school or daycare together and we hang out with them in the morning. We're back home by typically 8:15, 8:20. And then the day starts hardcore at like 9. And depending on the day, like Mondays are all meetings. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I shoot content in the morning for Instagram, for YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff. I do all of that on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then any one-on-ones that I have are typically Monday afternoons and Tuesday afternoons. And then typically the rest of the week is spent on moving the balls forward that I have. So random meetings with partners or trying to build partners or partnerships and working with the team and pushing initiatives forward is typically Wednesday through Friday.
So that's pretty much the routine every week. You guys are that structured for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much we try to wrap it up only because we want to make sure that we're present with our kids. And I personally am I love working. So like I could just keep working. And so we block our calendars off from usually 5 to 7, pick up the kids, hang out with them, do whatever, go hit golf balls at the driving range, go to the pool, do whatever, and just try to spend time with them. They got sports coming up now. They're into soccer and jiu-jitsu and all this other stuff. And so make sure that we have time for them. And that's what we do in the afternoons.
Dude, my little man does jiu-jitsu as well. We started him last year. So he was 5 last year when he started. He's 6 now. And it's hilarious how much he learns already.
I know.
A buddy of mine, his kid was messing with him at his birthday party, and he's bigger than him and all this stuff. I was like, just be careful. You need to be careful with him. So he's like, can I mess with him? I'm like, yeah, sure, go wrestle around with him. Wrestles with him. Next thing you know, he's got him in a rear naked choke at his birthday party. I'm like, hey, man, we can't be doing that.
That's amazing.
6 years old.
That's awesome.
Tell me a little bit about the content. I kind of went all in on content and stuff on LinkedIn in January, and it's upticked my stuff tremendously. Crazy.
Yep.
But as far as you go, you said you do all your content, all your videoing in 2 days. I've heard Alex talk about this as well. Do you guys have a content creator that kind of puts your stuff together and puts it out for the rest of the week, or is that all you?
Yeah, no. So we have an amazing team. So I have a videographer that lives, he's our full-time videographer, and he also edits my stuff. And he lives locally. Cool. I actually went to school with him. We were buddies in school and knew each other, and actually ended up working out really, really well. So he comes in, and what we do is, depending on what's needed for the business, we're always going to do primarily 3 things every time we shoot. We're going to do questions, meaning we're going to do tactical. We're going to have a question asked of us from my videographer, and I'm going to answer the question with some tactical piece of advice. The goal of that being a reel, a TikTok, something short, a YouTube short, where I can give tactical advice to someone. Then the next piece that we'll typically do is a YouTube longer form. So anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes of just straight education, trying to give highly tactical stuff just on a deeper level. And then the last piece is, just depending on the business, would be ads. And so are we shooting ads that day for Facebook or Instagram or whatever for gym launch? And what are we trying to accomplish? What's the hooks? What's the angle? What's the messaging that we're going for? And then we'll shoot ads. And that's typically how it works. But what's cool is we built out the process where our video guy, Steve, he will literally come with the questions prepared, and then he'll ask the question. If I'm like, that's a dumb question, we'll move on to the next one. If it's a good question, I'll answer the question and I'll provide what it needs to be. But really, it's fun because sometimes we're sitting down. Sometimes if for those of you that will follow me or do follow me, like I'm wearing golf stuff, like we're at the driving range. So we try to switch things up to kind of show different views, but ultimately our goal is to provide as much tactical advice that's useful for gym owners around the world, and fitness professionals, really.
Sure. No, it looks really good. I've watched your stuff. It comes off very professional. It looks pretty good. Are you trying to hit a certain amount per day? Like if you follow the Gary V, content is king model, he's like, hey, you got to have 3 to 5 pieces of content per day. What's you guys is like schedule as far as that, or your goal?
Yeah, right now it's two per day. 2 per day when it comes to reels, TikToks, Facebook posts, and LinkedIn. YouTube, we're trying to do anywhere between 1 to 2 long form, really good pieces of educational advice, something really tactical that a gym owner can take and be able to actually put into practice. And so that's where we're at right now. That took us a little bit. That took us a couple months to get the amount of volume that we needed stored up in the library to where we can consistently put that out. And now we're just consistently ahead, because like we'll shoot on like tomorrow we're shooting content. I'll probably do 20 to 30 questions that I'll answer in about 90 minutes. And so we'll have that set. So that's 30 pieces of content that we can use. And then I'll shoot a long form YouTube, which then we can break up and also get short pieces of content from. And so we try to set that up so that we're always ahead by at least, I would say 1 to 2 weeks every time we shoot.
Oh, wow. So you're having a backlog of pretty much being able to put out 2 weeks of stuff without having to stress about making new content.
100%. I mean, we have enough right now to push it through into November right now.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Now, how important is content for you? Did you do it prior to gym launch? Was you big in social media, or is this something kind of new to you?
No, no, it was not. And we strictly pretty much did advertising. That was it. So I didn't spend a lot of time on content. And something interesting. So Mike Arcee owns Loud Rumor, and I got to give him a shout out for this because I've used it. This quote just hit me so hard one day when he told me about this. We were doing a podcast together, and he said that there are 3 types of people in the world, right? There are stupid people, there are smart people, and there are geniuses. Stupid people make the same mistakes over and over and over again and stay in the same place or become worse off. Smart people make a mistake once and learn from it. You touch the stove, you get burned. Cool, I learned from it. But they have to be the ones to do it. Then there's geniuses. Geniuses watch someone else burn their hand and realize, I don't want to do that, and I don't want to feel that pain, and I'm not going to go through that. So I'm going to learn from the ignorance tax that everyone else has paid, and I'm not going to do it myself. And so having access to Alex and Leila and other incredible people in the industry across the board, and then also listening to other people, you get to a point where I still make a ton of mistakes. I still act like a smart person. A lot of times I act like a stupid person, but my goal is to try to limit those as much as possible and to act like a genius as many times as I possibly can in every aspect of life. And so listening to and watching what Alex is doing and Leila are doing, and really just getting an inside look at the volume that they're putting out, why it's so important to do that. It was like, no, we're going to go all in on this on both the gym launch side, the PL side, and we're going to really go all in on organic content for the next 5 years. And we're just thinking 5 years right now. It's like, we don't care what happens now. I care way more about what happens in 2027, 2028, 2029. Like that's where my thought process is, because it'd be unreasonable to believe that we would not have more followers, more impressions, more sales if we just kept doing this every single day for the next 5 years.
Oh, I love that, because I get caught up in the same thing as well. Like, hey man, so I put out all this content and where are we doing? Like, what's the numbers right now? But if you look at it in 5 years, you're going to grow. Whether you grow by one person or you grow by 15,000 people or 50,000 people, whatever it is, you're going to grow. So quit thinking of it as a right now mindset. You got to go long term with it. I guess you got to be able to wait and be, patient with things, as well as also have that vision and that drive. And a lot of people just give up too soon.
For sure. And it's different, right? Because there's context to different where people are in business. Because where we're at with Gym Launch and Prestige Labs, we have the ability to do that now, right? And for a lot of business owners that we work with, content is cool, but content for them, they have to be so good at content as a local gym owner in order to catch people's attention, because everyone's following their favorite fitness influencer. Everyone can hop on YouTube and get workouts and all this stuff. But when you're trying to stand out, you really have to stand out. And that's where we try to teach them there's a balance. Yes, content is good. But if content is your primary strategy as a small town, small community business owner, especially as a gym owner, you're not going to grow at the pace that you need to. You have to have some sort of paid advertising strategy. Otherwise, you're just going to become a revolving door where people come in, people leave, and you're not going to be able to grow and scale. So that's kind of where it's balancing and understanding the context for business owners on like where should they be putting their time and their focus and which one's going to have the biggest bang for their buck and time.
So the paid advertising, like the Facebook ads, I'm assuming that's big, like Instagram, TikTok, that type of stuff. How important is that in your business, and how important could that be in other industries as well?
Yeah. So I'll speak to GL itself, and then I'll talk to obviously PL. It's fairly decent, but PL actually, because we run an affiliate model with our gym owners, we only spend money on advertising as a brand play. So like it's just to get recognition with end users. On the GL side, typically half of our sales come from paid advertising. The rest comes from a pure outbound method that we have, as well as organic and referrals. So it's still a big piece. For our gym owners, though, there might be a little feedback. Most of our gym owners, though, they need to be running paid ads. And they need to do it so that they can scale at the speed at which they need to in order to be successful. And so we've spent the last 6+ years understanding what works best on Facebook, what works best on Instagram. We are constantly testing. We've got a beta going on right now. This is actually the 4th beta we've run already this year on tests. And we are constantly innovating on what offers work best, what don't. Like we're testing something on TikTok. We're getting $1.88 leads on TikTok for a local gym. And they got 88 leads in like 72 hours. So like we're always testing different things, but paid advertising has to be a part of every gym strategy, at least to grow and scale. Otherwise, it's going to be like a turtle. You're just going to be super slow, and you better have really good retention practices, because if you don't, you're going to hit a cap very, very quickly.
Well, I mean, I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't know if you're familiar with Chattanooga, but I mean, You look Knoxville, Nashville, Atlanta. We're right in the middle of all those, gateway to the South. I've seen so many gyms come and go in Chattanooga. It's unbelievable. And I've been a member of all of them. I'm like, somebody just stick around, just hang out with them. But you're right.
Why do you think they went under?
I would have to say that they're not getting their name out there. They're not trying to get more people in the building. And to be honest with you, it's the way they serve people when I'm at the gym. Like, I don't want to be just a click or a swipe or whatever. I want to walk in and have a relationship with the people that I'm working out with, or the people that are behind the desk, or whoever, and just keep the stuff clean and kind of up to date and working. Like, that's really the biggest things with the gym for me.
It's the basics, right? It's the brilliant work. How many of those gyms knew your name when you walked in after 2 weeks of being a member there?
Oh, wow. Hardly any. One or two. And that was if I had buddies working the front desk or something.
That's the only reason why, right? What if you just switch that? What if you're a gym owner and you're listening to this or watching this and you were just like, nope, you know what we're going to implement over the next 2 weeks? We're going to make sure every single person that's working here knows every single member's name, and we're going to train it. We're going to work on it. So every time someone walks through the door, doesn't matter if I'm a health club, a small boutique fitness facility, but every time someone hops in, we are going to say hello by name, their first name, and we're going to give them a smile and we're going to wish them an awesome workout. What if you just did that?
There's not one gym in Texas that I promise you with every member.
Imagine how different your gym would look, how much more engaged your staff would be if they knew everyone's name, right? Just simple stuff like that.
I mean, just take that and put that in any industry. Sales, I mean, in brokering, just knowing your carriers when they call, or knowing your customers or the support staff when they call and ask the question. You're right. It's the X's and O's, it's the Jimmys and Joes, it's the bare minimums of anything that you do, and it's doing it really well. Doing the basics really well is what kind of separates the companies. That's in anything, pretty much. All right. I want a couple of fun questions. I know you're busy. I know this is one of your meeting days, so you're back to back, but just a couple of things I want to ask you real quick. Why do you think that they named you CEO of Gym Launch Prestige Labs?
You have to ask Alex and Leila that. I joke around that I was the last man standing. So realistically, though, to answer your question, I think Alex and Leila would know best. But if I was going to say, the reason why is because a couple different things. One is I understand gym owners. I've been there. I've walked in their shoes. I've done it. I also understand Gym Launch. I understand our vision, our goals. I live by the core tenets that we have. I understand PL. I understand the goal of PL. I understand why we did it. I understand the story. I understand where we're trying to go. I understand how we can grow it. The other piece behind it is as a leader, like, I understand the vision and driving that vision and help creating a new vision for where we're trying to go over the next 5 years. And beyond that, there's one piece I think that's really important is just having integrity and loyalty, right? Like, I owe so much to Alex and Leila, both personally and professionally, and they're my people. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, all the way to the end, right? And I'll be loyal no matter what. And they've done such an incredible job just in life in general and in business. And they've been incredible friends and mentors to me, and they continue to be. And I am honored to be able to kind of be a part of that journey. So, but ultimately, I think the best people to ask would be them, because they're the ones that had to choose. So
one of these days. Another question for you, and this is based off of a TV show that I watched during the pandemic. I don't know if you saw it. It was like they took billionaires. Grant Cardone was one of them, where they had to go out and they had to go from zero, go to a random spot, and see how much money they can make in 90 days or whatever it was. So if you had to start back at zero, what would you do to get going?
I could choose anything.
Yeah, you got $0. You're in a new market, nobody knows you, and you just got to start from zero.
Yeah, there's two ways. Like, if I was going to go the gym route, I would start a gym, and we've already talked about it. I'd scale it to $1 million in 90 days. I would pick a small, probably 2,500 to 3,000 square foot facility. I would pre-sell everything. So I'd figure out a way to, if I could get a credit card or do whatever, I would immediately just put a down payment on a lease. And I would pre-sell for literally 30 to 60 straight days. I'd pre-sell everything and grow and scale it that way, using our client finance acquisition, meaning I would just have to put in a little bit of money on advertising and then be able to scale it. And I would be able to pick up that money. I would start training people on the side really easily to grab that money. But if I was going to do something, I needed money quick with my skill set, there's a couple different things that I would do. One is easy way to do it is go to local businesses and be able to do advertising for them. Like that would just be a super easy way. I can drive leads into the door, and I can also do more than what your advertising agency can do. I can teach you how to get those people to show up and how to close them consistently at high prices. And so I would handle the entire acquisition channel for them. And that's how I would scale it.
Really cool. If you had to give someone, and I ask this to everybody that comes onto the show, and we're wrapping up, but if you had to give someone getting into sales, getting into marketing, one piece of advice, what would you give them?
Ask more questions. Ask more questions. Both in sales is questions. You simply just have to ask more questions to get the person on the other side to come to the same belief that you have and the same level of conviction you have on their own. Because if you want it more than them, they're never going to ultimately cross that bridge and join your program or ultimately be successful in whatever you're trying to sell. They need to actually own it for themselves. And so you need to ask the right questions to get them to truly understand and make that decision on their own. Marketing is all about questions. It's all about understanding, cool, why is this working? What do I need to change? Let me look at the data. What is the data telling me? And what's the story it's trying to tell? And then what adjustments can I make to increase and be able to reach more people, right? What headline is working? Why do I even have this type of headline? Who out there knows more than I do, right? It comes down to, you need to be able to ask the right questions. There's a lot more to it, obviously, but if I was going to tell anyone, it's just ask more questions. If I could give people listening to this, if you want to know an inside viewpoint on like Alex, because to be frank, the reason why I'm on this podcast is because of Alex, right? Because if Alex hadn't built it and then handed it to me, I'd be a nobody. No one would even know who I was. I wouldn't be on here, right? And so if people are listening to this and watching this, you want an insight into him. The one thing that still astounds me to this day, but really caught my attention and I immediately latched onto and started doing, was when you're going through something and Alex is in like learning mode, Alex will annoy the absolute heck out of you by the amount of questions he will ask in detail. It will literally be like, cool, so what'd you say there? Okay, why'd you say that? Okay, have you tried this? Literally, let's say a sentence. You take a sentence and it'll be like, cool, why'd you say that there? Okay, what type of tonality did you use? Oh, okay, so you did that. But what'd you do next? Okay, did you hand him this? Okay, what was on it? Okay, did you hand it to him like this, or did you wait till afterwards? Like literally just step by step so that you can grab the entire picture, because usually the things that separate great businesses from okay or good businesses are the small, tiny little changes that they make in the tonality or the customer service or the little things that they add on that make outsized returns on that time or attention that they're giving their customers through either sales or customer service. And it's usually the small stuff. It's never like, hey, this person's doing this massively innovative thing. It's more so just like, oh, one small tweak. And it's like, got it. This lever I pulled, all of a sudden my business skyrocketed. But you got to ask the right questions.
No, that's beautiful. And with asking the right questions, what I've noticed from my experience is you got to be able to listen. You got to be able to like actively listen and then follow up questions with another good question or some piece of relevant information. Not ask a question, then just wait for them to get done talking and then say what you wanted to say, no matter what they were going to say before you ask the question, which might be the number one flaw in sales. Like people ask the question knowing what they're going to say, no matter what the answer is. Have you seen that?
Oh, all the time, man. So childlike curiosity is something that we tell our team. And then another piece that helps is, this helped me when I was in sales, is to go into it with the identity of I am a kind of like a counselor or a therapist in a meeting with one of my patients. And so my goal is, I don't have a different motive when I go into that. My goal is simply to understand what are the problems and pain points and ask the right questions to get my patient to truly understand what changes they need to make in their behavior and what decision they need to make in order to move forward. And that decision, I just want them to come to a decision. I want it either a yes or a no. That's it. And so if I can go into that, I'm not trying to lead them into something specific. I'm asking the right questions to get them to understand what they need to do next.
Love that. All right, so let's tie back Gym Launch and Prestige Labs. Yeah. Probably this is probably more a Prestige Labs question, a PL question, as I heard you in the abbreviation earlier.
Yeah. Yep.
Supply chain. Obviously, that's supplements. That's what I'm in. Kind of talk about the process. Is it all, I guess, third party? Like, how's your supply chain process work from the manufacturing to the person's door?
Yeah, so we have multiple manufacturers. They go through, we used to have one, but we've expanded since all the supply chain issues, right? So we want to make sure that we have the enough inventory right now. Like we're actually going through an entire process of getting the new manufacturers up and to the point where we have enough inventory. I'm so thankful for all of our affiliates out there. They love our products. They're so loyal. We've gone through a whole bunch of shenanigans like a lot of other companies when it comes to supply chain issues. But we're going to be hitting the ground running here in the next really 10 to 12 days of being back in stock fully for as long as we can hopefully keep it going with no supply chain issues by September 1st. But we have 4 manufacturers that supply our list of ingredients, and they go through obviously the rigorous testing and everything. And then we actually just switched to a new 3PL. And they ship everything to them. And then there are third-party logistics to make sure that our clients get everything that they need as quickly as possible. So, but that has been, I mean, we for the last, I would say, literally the last 18 months, it's been a daily conversation. It's something that we are working on every single day. My wife heads that up. Maggie heads that up primarily on the PL side. And it's something that is obviously, I know a lot of other manufacturers and supply and supplement companies have been struggling with this. And I know supplement companies that have gone under because they've been unable to get the ingredients and the supplies that they need in time. So I've been super thankful with our team and the individuals that have helped us a ton to be able to fix this.
I know all about that. It's a fun world out there right now in the supply chain. So
it's nuts, man. Nuts.
As well. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you coming to the show. I know you're busy, but I thought it was extremely valuable. I hope that everybody that's watching and listening is able to grab something from it. This will be clipped and put out on YouTube and all the podcast channels as well. So I'll get all the links to you as well as that goes. But thank you so much for taking the time and coming on to the show, man.
Gunnar, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Where can everyone find you? What's all your channels?
Yeah. So if you want to follow Gym Launch, you go at Gym Launch on Instagram, on TikTok. You can find us on Facebook. Our website, we're going through a revamp on our website. For me, if you want to find me, it's at Cale Owen, at CALEOWEN. That's on Instagram, TikTok. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. So you guys can find me there. And trying to put a bunch of content out. If you want to follow us on YouTube, if you're a gym owner or fitness professional, we're giving free content out on like how to get more clients, how to close more people, how to keep them twice as long. All of that is on our Gym Launch YouTube channel as well.
Right. Who's the best baseball player of all time?
People are going to hate me for this. Barry Bonds.
I was about to say Barry, but just gym guys, man. It's Barry Bonds, no doubt.
Barry Bonds, man. I don't care how many steroids you take, man. It doesn't matter. You still got to hit a ball, and that dude can hit a ball better than anybody else. So
the best hitter of all time, not even close. Go back and watch his 2004 season. It's ridiculous.
The numbers, the stats are so unbelievable. Like, it is a joke. The fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame blows my mind. Like, I just don't understand. Regardless of all that stuff, like, it still blows my mind. The dude is the best, hands down.
I'm pretty sure he reached base in 363 games in 360 at bats or something. 365. It was something crazy, something wild because of all of his intentional walks.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
Well, hey, man, thank you so much. I'll let you get out of here. I appreciate you coming on. Everybody go follow him, and we'll catch up with you later. All right, man?
Awesome. Thanks, Connor.
See you, brother.